Good evening. Would you be surprised if I told you there are more borders in this room right now than there are on any world map? Not drawn, not obvious, but here, in our minds. Borders between me and you, between us and them, between who we choose to be a part of our lives and who we reject. And what I've come to realize is these borders are psychological. Lines are drawn in our mind before they're drawn in the sand, before walls are erected between communities, between nations, between continents. And it is these assumptions about people that cause us to fix these invisible borders within our minds. When I first moved to Madrid, I struggled. I wasn't accustomed to the cultures here, and I didn't align with the viewpoints of many of my classmates. This led to many heated arguments over complex issues. But these debates went nowhere. They only led to anger, resentment, and my own sense of isolation. At the time, I thought the problem was them. There was me, my sense of us, and there was them. Many believe that our brains are hardwired into seeing the world as us versus them, following this idea. How many of you align with that statement, that our brains are fixed into seeing this division? Well, I guess more of you are open-minded than I thought, or you're just afraid to raise your hand. I'm here today to discuss the reason why hardwiring is irrelevant and wrong. And this is because our brains are constantly changing. We are adapted to grow and to evolve. And unlike our other social primates, we are capable of the cognitive thinking skills that make us quite unique. We're capable of self-reflection. We're capable of questioning our instincts and of tapping into our ability to empathize with another perspective. Now, a reflex isn't hardwiring. A reflex could be to see somebody as a them because they don't look like us, behave like us, or believe what we believe. However, once we're conscious of these reflexes, we're capable and we're smart enough to reevaluate our perspectives. Many studies have been done analyzing the cognitive bias that causes division and how difficult it can be to break that division. In the 1970s, Henry Tajfel ran a study known as the minimal group paradigm, where he divided teenagers into two groups through a simple coin flip. One group was heads and one group was tails. They had nothing else in common. But immediately, through different experiments, we saw the same patterns. They only sided with the people of their group. They only trusted these people that they had just been assigned to. And they made decisions that benefited their us over their them, which immediately seeded division for no reason, because they knew nothing about the people involved. This proved a powerful point. The moment we label, we divide, even if the label is pointless. And the moment we're placed into a group, we decide to view the world from their perspective out of fear. And it makes us feel safe and secure to agree with other people. You don't wake up one day and decide you want to hate somebody. These divisions are taught, and they're nurtured through one's life. And it starts with this idea of this pointless label. He's Republican, she's gay, he's short, she's not from here. These labels are pointless, but they divide us every day. I would like to introduce you all to the panopticon concept. This is an idea centered around a prison, in which there is one lone guard meant to be watching over all the prisoners. Now, it's physically impossible for this guard to vigilantly watch each individual prisoner at all times. But it actually leads the prisoners to self-regulate, out of fear that they're constantly being watched. Our world functions in a similar way. If you imagine the guard that may or may not be watching us as society's expectations, as these norms created by social groups to try and force us into conformity. Our society is a mental panopticon. We think we're being guarded into conformity. Think about how we act on an elevator. It's as simple as that. We all walk in and we face the front doors. We don't look at each other. And if somebody walked in and faced the back, it would be strange. It would make us feel incredibly uncomfortable. And this isn't because this person's doing anything wrong, but it's because they're breaking this unspoken rule that we seem to all be aware of. We are the products of the expectations of others. And this is not a reflection of what we're capable of thinking, being, or feeling. This is why when we come into contact with other societies, other societal panopticons, these different cultures that we don't understand, and this is because we're not aware of their norms, what their societal laws are that they seem to always follow. So I understand it's difficult, but our brains are fully capable of reevaluating our perspectives and adapting to these new other societal norms. I've now lived in Madrid for 4 years. One of my best friends and I do not align on many topical issues. Our friendship started with screaming matches over the lunch table, yelling in the hallway, but we still had a connection that I couldn't explain. So I had to ask myself, why? Why was there this insurmountable wall of disagreement between us when we still liked each other's company? Now, I love a heated debate more than anyone. He actually did too. That was the first thing we found in common. But it turned out we had a lot more similarities than we thought. Our sense of loyalty to friends and family, our ideas of having fun, and more. We found common ground. And renowned psychologist Gordon Allport discusses how when people from separate groups that have separate perspectives find common ground, the line between us and them weakens. So my political opponent, friend of mine, decided to shift how we discuss things. Instead of arguing and trying to force our opinions on each other that we knew we probably weren't going to change, we started discussing these things calmly, actually trying to understand why each other believed what they believed. And this led to both of us growing incredibly emotionally and intellectually because we actually understood each other. As an international community, we have managed to unite on some levels, every once in a while. And a significant time this happened was when every single country in the world signed an agreement known as the Montreal Protocol, which was an agreement to help counteract climate change and help the ozone layer. Now, this was an astonishing feat. But we also unite in crisis. So we can all think of Christmas Day 1914, when British and German soldiers put down their weapons and met in no man's land as equals. They buried their dead together and played a game of football. This moment of empathy and compassion spread hope to all who were suffering throughout the war. Following this Christmas truce in 1999, Jeremy Gilley, inspired by this, started a campaign known as Peace One Day, a day later institutionalized by the United Nations. September 21st is known as International Peace Day, in which all military operations are asked to put down their weapons and allow for humanitarian aid to enter into conflict zones and help. There's an average 15% decrease in violent deaths that day more than any other day of the year. So if we're capable of prioritizing humanity over politics and ideology for one day, I think there is hope for us after all. We are witness to a world filled with conflict, polarization, and hatred. But we're also witness to a world filled with compromise. Cooperation is difficult and it's a fragile process, but it starts with us being more self-reflective and conscious that there can be more than one truth, and we can hold multiple truths simultaneously. So how do we begin to break at these borders between us? It starts by asking questions, not clinging to answers. Curiosity will always open doors, but it is rigid certainty that is the building blocks for the walls between us. So ask people the whys. Try to understand why they believe what they believe, and learn. Remember, your divisions weren't chosen. They were taught, and that isn't your fault. We also need to be aware of our biases. Why do we believe what we believe? Is it the way we were raised? Is it what our parents say? Or is it because our invisible God is watching over us? When you leave here today, I ask you to go out and talk to somebody who doesn't share the same beliefs as you. Not to force your opinion, but to understand. Ask them the whys. Why do they believe what they believe? Where did it come from? What is their culture? But also focus on the person. Learn who they are. Are they kind? Are they funny? Are they honest? Find your common ground. Trust me, it will enrich in your life. It's what happened to me, and I'm incredibly humbled by that experience. Change starts in the mind. And if we can gain confidence as individuals to use these incredible cognitive gifts that only humans seem to possess, collective change can grow from these individual steps into seeing through the eyes of another. That is where peace begins. Thank you.